Can't take no more now. I said we can't take no more now.
Yeah, people, good morning. My name is Andy Livingston, and the program is called Rhyme and Reasoning. In this program, we use poetry and reasoning to just hear out our perspective on a lot of what may concern you and what concerns us, and things that, those talking points. It may be current affairs, it may be world affairs, or whatever it is, we'll talk about it here, and we give you some good poetry. See? So today we want to talk about what is generally the white elephant in the room and nobody know want to talk about. See? It's a topic that is very explosive, and so a lot of people, tend to stay away from it. But we're gonna deal with it, because I think a lot of things are out there misunderstood, and it just needs some clarity, and so we're going to attempt to provide that clarity. Today we're going to talk about Jamaica, Rasta, Reggae, and the LGBTQ conundrum, and it is kind of something that one would expect at this time, especially in the culture that we'll be talking about. So we're going to start like this. We're going to start with a poem. It's called Love You Still. It says, whatever you do in your life, whoever you love in your life, whatever choices you choose to make, whatever turn you choose to take, though I may not be wired that way, there's nothing there for me to say. I may prefer that you be otherwise, but I'll leave you in your own way to rise. Some may have you shredded for meat, not for me the judgment seat. My duty is not to bend you to my will, but as human, love you still. And so that is the attitude that we take to to this situation. You know what I mean? To each his own, but there are some parameters that society has set that we have to start to understand, when we deal with these things. All right, so let me give you some background to the Jamaican culture. We are a community that came out of slavery. Yeah? Most black people in the West understand that position, that came out of slavery. And during slavery, a lot of things were weaponized to keep the slave in check, to break the spirit of that strong black slave that may rise, to a point where they rebel. And so, buggery was a thing weaponized against us. And so one can understand that having gone through this brutality for all these years, it's kind of like today we have cellular memory of these things, So when people say that we are homophobic, it's saying that we fear the homosexual behavior. Somewhat that is true, you can't go around that. So having come out of slavery, one of the first actions that was taken is that in 1864, we had the Offences of the Person Act being enacted, where buggery was criminalized, and sentences of up to like 10 years was placed on those kinds of actions. But it wasn't just buggery, it was things like bestiality, things like incest, things like that. Rape, I'm sure, would have been there, because we are talking about the offenses against the person. So law kind of helped to shape what it is we now hold to. Bible and religion. In a slavery, we were given the Bible. So we were not permitted to read in in the first instance. So a lot of it was handed down to us, read to us and things. But once we started to read, I think there was more of a push to get us into Bible and the man's religion. See? Now you can now accept that we're a Bible nation and not expect us to believe in the things that we would have read in this Bible given to us as the Word of God. Now, if the Word of God told us in Leviticus, for argument's sake, that man should not seek to lie with mankind as he would with womankind, you can't expect us to just throw that out of the window and say, no, we don't believe that. While you expect us to believe all the other things. Things like the story of Sodom and Gomorrah, where Sodom and Gomorrah was destroyed in brimstone and fire and such like. And some people raise the argument that it wasn't just that. Sodom wasn't just a homosexual place. It was corrupt in other ways and blah, blah, blah. But one of the central themes of the Sodom and Gomorrah story is the homosexual nature of the people at the time. So if we're steeped in Bible, then one can understand why us as Jamaicans would find homosexuality abhorrent. You know what I mean? And so, as I said in the poem, though I may prefer you be otherwise, I leave you in your own way to rise. What that is saying is that while I understand that you are who you are, don't expect me to accept certain things as normal. Because if I believe in the Bible, then I can't believe that things that the Bible speaks against is normal. And that is a natural thing. It leads me to ask, though, I want to ask, is Jamaica really a homophobic place? And that is a question that a lot of us know want to deal with. Because the narrative out there is that Jamaica is a homophobic place and we are here every day just hurting homosexuals, seeking to do things to the LGBTQ community. But I want to show you something. In our society, there have been, and there's many an example of figures of people openly gay, living in communities and going about their lives as normal. Nobody is bothering them. And we have a lot of public figures. We have policemen, we have politicians, we have even an ambassador that we know about. Churches. Just recently we have this brethren here, Kevin Smith. And anybody in other church there, anybody who came into contact with Kevin Smith, could have seen that this man was gay. In fact, the man put it front and center. In our church, he had the rainbow colors fully displayed. But this man had a huge dedicated following. If you can have a pastor leading how many people, then you really have to ask yourself, how is that? But we are homophobic. You can't have it both ways. We have entertainers. What about entertainers? The first openly gay entertainer in Jamaica was Desmond Dekker from the 60s, 70s. Well, he migrated to England after a while. But Jamaica loved Desmond Dekker. Desmond Dekker was one of our top artists. We've had other artists, Frankie Paul. Yeah? Even though it is something kind of sheltered. But FP was like that. You know what I mean? God rest his soul. And FP was what I consider a brethren. You know what I mean? And you have many people like that. Recently we see Bogle's son come out. Bogle's son. In fact, I could talk even Bogle. And that's someone I go, if we were really homophobic, some had Bogle gestures and and how he carried himself. wouldn't really hold around here, you know. Because I would have said Google displayed some really feminine traits. So to me, I don't know about the next man. Because nobody know what to talk about Mr. Wacky. Oh, Mr. It never surprised me that Google have a gay son. It not surprised me. But where was this guy all the time before he came up? He must have been living in the community. Nobody touched him. You have Shibata. Jamaica love Shibata. Shibata keep a show anywhere. The place full. But more than that, we even love the plays that even people who are not gay play a gay role. It's a strange thing in Jamaica. So are we really homophobic? Or is it that we have a culture of just maybe picking on the weak, or just being brutally frank with how we talk about people? You know, in Jamaica, if you're short, we call you short man. If you head big, we call you big head. In fact, if you're blind, we probably call you blackout or something. I just so we stay in Jamaica. So let us look at the sex thing. If you are what we people that call womanizers, if you're a womanizer, Jamaica people probably call you pussy man. It's a strange thing. So if you're homosexual, you know, we not have to say nothing more. That's all. So that is just how we are as people. But I find that while it is that we can't deny that some gay people have been marginalized around here, we can't deny that. But we see gay people in our communities who have means. You see, if you're in our community and you have means, nobody touches you. So, a Dan could have been gay. Again, we talk about the pastor, they have means. And just generally that. Nobody not trouble you. The problem we have is where people tend to want to groom us. Is where people deviantly sexualized want to then turn around and groom others, groom young people. So that is basically what we fear more than all. We don't really have a problem with a man being gay. And he keep himself to himself. Nobody sees what he's doing. You know what I mean? You know, to you, he's effeminate. But him not put nothing in their face. He's not openly there trying to groom anybody. He can't live there so till them son him, man. Nobody troubles him. So it is really unfortunate that we go and spread this gospel that Jamaica is out here killing gays and doing this to gays and doing that to gays. Diana King, we love us some Diana King. Jamaica people, give Diana King all the love that you could have given an artist. We think that Diana King is one of the best that has ever done it. Nobody cared that Diana King got married to a girl. In fact, if I wasn't in the industry, I wouldn't know. But Diana King is in the States and giving Jamaica hell for marginalizing gays. And she has never been marginalized in Jamaica. I tell you that King Singer, nobody no marginalize you. Jamaica love you. But you're there and join with the community and beating up Jamaica. You guys need to start telling the truth of just explaining to people how we are, the nuances, just how we go about doing the Jamaica thing. You know what I mean? So it is a lie that people are out here being homophobic and killing gays. Let me tell you this, and something nobody know want to deal with it. When homosexuals have been killed in Jamaica, and people in the LGBTQ community who in Jamaica know this, yeah, they may not be telling you guys in the international sphere. It is and has been gay people killing gay people is gay on gay crime. And I dare you to challenge me on that. Yeah? it is usually a crime of passion when gay people die in Jamaica. Yeah, I mean, we know we grew up in a community, mischievous boys. We run down a gay man. If we hear two gay men down there, so and yeah, I've seen it, I've heard of it happening. But generally, when gay people dead, and gay people are killed them in Jamaica, it's not the regular man on the street. And generally, I tell you why it happens. Gay people, some gay men, there are some gay men, powerful gay men with money that we've seen dying in this country, that what they've been doing is actively grooming young boys. And these young boys turn on them. Another thing is that, and I tell you, my first job in this country was, I used to work as a telephone operator. And while we signed the Secrecy Act and can talk about things that we've heard, when you get people from that community making calls to each other and things are not right, you find that they're very, very insanely jealous. And violently so. I don't know what causes it, but this is the reality. You know, see it. So, you know, we need to stop telling people out there that people, Jamaican people, are homophobic and they're hurting Jamaican, hurting LGBTQ people. And as the poem says, it brings me to these lines. Some may have you shredded for meat, but not for me, the judgment seat. And I tell you, that is the position of most Jamaicans. A man out there looking in food. A man don't have no time to be chasing down gays and, you know what I mean? And this is what it sounds like. This is what it sounds like. It comes out in the music, you know, but the music reflects the culture. And so popular culture run with certain narratives. Yeah? And this do a disservice to the culture. You know what I mean? So we have violent music that come out, but I'm not just against gay people. Informer for dead, cokehead for dead, spy for dead. How much of them are dead? In fact, I tell you, the informer is more danger than the gay man. You see what I say? No, but I mean, it is just a travesty that we put this out here and the world has hung on to it and it has come on to haunt us. You know what I mean? Really? Homosexuals are killed in Jamaica by other homosexuals. So what I'm trying to do is get both sides of the paradigm to try to understand how it works. You know? And so while we talk about the culture and how we treat with the situation, we ask again, because I think the culture understands this. Is it innate for people to be so wired, or is it learned, or is it a bit of both? Those are questions that we sometimes grapple with, you know. For me, as a Jamaican man living in the space and seeing how things have developed, I tend to think that it's a bit of both. So all of us would have kind of grow up. All of we grow up with effeminate boys around us. And all of we grow up with girl figures around us that we call tomboy. All of us. Some more so than others in terms of tomboyish, and some more effeminate than others. I tell you this, I have seen effeminate guys grow up to not become gay. And I have seen some that you would have said, well, you know, we saw it coming. But I have seen tough guys. I've seen tough guys that when you hear that they are gay, you say, wow, then how is this? How could this happen? Because you never saw anything of it. So I have to accept that some people, I mean, we see for argument's sake, this girl who call herself pretty now. That's a totally different thing, you know. She is, well, and she tells her story. She's a hermaphrodite. She have both um, sex organs. And so I think that while some people may not have an organ, um, have both organs, some people I would contend that some people are genetically, wired that way. Then. People will argue though that so while you may act like a girl and you may feel sex, the act is something learned, and so you would have had to have been exposed to the act to know identify yourself that way. But again, I would have said feelings are feelings. So if you're feeling and you have strong feelings drawn to one sex or the other, then that is what that is. So I'd have to accept that some people are born that way. You know, we have a situation where kind of hard to understand, it's hard to deal with. Now we see the culture being invaded. Invaded may be a strong word because people who grew up in the culture, you can't say them invade the culture. See? But the Rasta culture is being invaded. You can't be Rasta and gay. Just like I think you can't be Christian and gay, but even more so Rasta, because Rasta have a stronger identity than Christianity. And so we see where some artists have come out. Well, we've seen one artist come out, Lila Ike, who was identifying with the Rasta community. While she now wear locks, this is her crew. She sparred with some Rasta man and her music. Lila Ike was like a firebrand, a fire bun kind of a young lady who come up in the music. Great artist that we have in the making. But we saw her come out saying that, boy, a picture was going to come and blah, blah, blah. And so she's telling people before it came out that, boy, she's like that. We see Coffee. Little girl come out. I never even, at the time when Coffee just came out, I never even think about Coffee sexuality. I see a little cute little girl singing some nice reggae music, and I never even thought about her sexuality. I don't think most of us did. Identifying as Rasta wearing locks. And when I say identifying, she may not verbally be doing it, but once you take on the image, then I'm gonna say a Rasta person. Another person who has not come out, Janine. And we may as well talk about it. We hear about Janine. Janine is this strong, Rasta woman kind of a thing. How that work? How does that work? Rasta has been the strongest proponent against things wrong, against things deleterious to the health, against things morally, that we would consider morally corrupt. And so when you have people now identifying as Rasta or identifying with Rasta, then it shows the culture in a disrepute. Then we have some man now, some Rasta man, who are show them support behind these people. Oh, you can't have that. That can't be something where we're right. Otherwise, we can't consider you Rasta if you ever support this kind of a thing. Then you can't be Rasta. So while we are saying people can do what they want to do, you can't do what you want to do in every context. You go and be with the LGBTQ community and leave Rasta community alone. Oil and water can't mix. So how you work out that? You know how you work out that? You work out that your thing, money. That are your whole thing, you know. See? So some man come on here with they are now being referred to colloquially as the new Rasta. All of a sudden everybody bright and everybody understanding and everybody right. Well, and that's how it works. But you have to be bright and understanding and all inclusive. If your money is not troubled, you know, see it. And so we see we're all of a sudden these people are springing up on us and being promoted. And Brethren, I have been in the industry and it's not easy to promote. Yeah? It takes money. So where is the money coming from promoting these people? So people that get record deals. People that get record deals left, right, and center. Then all of a sudden you find that they are identifying with the community. Is it that we're taking money to infiltrate our culture? Is it that we're taking money to help to bend our culture to a particular will? Who is spending this money? These are questions we have to be serious about answering. You know. We cannot take money, people, to corrupt what we have had for centuries, what the Rasta man them fight. Rasta man used to be beaten around here. Rasta people used to be trimmed. Rasta people couldn't get work. Rasta people were scorned. The Rasta man had to walk in the gully when he might go nowhere. Because walking on the road, just like here people now, I said them gay and people. It was, can you imagine the Rasta man? What he went through? And now he has stood fast. See him? And build something. I know some little man say right now, well, we support. Yeah? How that work? It can't work, sir. So here are the thing for me. Here I suggest it. Those in the LGBTQ community sing music where we know. Cause I'm happy, them kind of music, eh? And we can deal with that. But if you ever come fireburn people, for immoralities that we like used to do. See? I mean, coffee have some of that element in our thing. She now fireburn, but she has said, she talk about against certain immoral things also. You can't have it both ways. It can't work, so. You see what I say? So we have to, you know, we have to clean up them things there. We have to identify ourselves as what we are and make everybody know. That's all, you know. And then we can deal with that. Like I say, we love Frankie Paul. We love Diana King. We every year. Well, it's been a while now. We have some gay international artists where people bring a Jamaica and then pull out crowds. And people know say some of them gay. People don't care about them sexuality. People care about them musical content, the contribution. Am I going to enjoy this concert? And that me I deal with. When people pay for go see Shibada, people don't care about whether I'm gay. People just want to know, am I going to laugh when I see this brethren? Those of us who care just don't go. You know what I mean? That's not our thing. So we say, all right. But those of us who enjoy a good laugh because it's just a play, people just go and it no matter. So, you know, this thing can't really be something that defines us to the point where our artists can't get work unless they sign a compassion. I think they need to, as much as they're asking us to understand, I think the community need to understand who the Jamaican is and why he behaves the way he behaves. There's a thing that, as far as the community is concerned, I kind of have a pet peeve with. The street boy, the gay son of families that have been cast out and are now living on the street. Especially in a New Kingston, they might live in the gullies, they might live on the verges, they might live in other holes here and there. I asked some brethren one time in our reason, if you have a son, and I'm gonna ask every Jamaican man this. If you have a son and he start display what you would consider homosexual tendencies, what would your response be? And almost to a man, my friends, so well, them can't stay in my house. And so we had one big discussion about it because I'm not so minded. My thing kind of different. I am saying to them, look, it's your son. And when you throw him out and the community ostracize him, where does he go? He's going to find wherever he can survive. He might go find a grouping that accepts him. And the human spirit, the human's first responsibility is to self and survival. So you throw out your boy. Him find company in the gully, living in the gully. But then him have to eat and drink, him have to wear clothes. How does he do that? Who is employing him? You know? So you throw him out before him acquire any kind of skill, any kind of educational background that would take him out there to get a job. Any kind of qualification. Who is employing him? Him now get no employment. So him there in the gully, and him actually now become almost subhuman because him act now on instinct. Him act now for just find food. Him go rob people. And that is what we have found now. We find a whole group of pariah in a New Kingston where we Jamaicans throw out our house. Oh, that can't work. What you do is create a bad situation out of what you consider a bad situation. It can't really work. So my advice, and it was the advice then and the advice now, if you find, say, you have a boy, display them tendency there, you bring him boy, you know. Your duty is to see him through school and for really sit down with him and say, Virgin, look, if this is the way you're going, you know, given that you know that you're going to be marginalized, because you know, take your book. So you take him through school, take him to a point, you have to take that boy to a point that he can become a productive citizen and not going out there now being a burden on the public purse and being a nuisance to society. So that's when we would have said, you know, that is something we get wrong, we get badly wrong. And we know, because every day you hear people bawl about it. Why in Kingston, they're holding up people and them and grab phone and them and this. They're just surviving. That's just the reality. You know what I mean? So we have to think about them things. You know? So while now it brings us to, I think we kind of labor this enough. And we don't want, it's not going to be a 2-hour thing where we just talk ad nauseum. So the poem ended by saying, my duty is not to bend you to my will, but as human, love you still. Yeah? That's a kind of my motto. And I'm going to ask that the community, the LGBT community, by the same token, don't seek to bend the culture to your will. Yeah? Just deal with it still. See? Yeah, man. Rhyme and reasoning. And that we are said today. Bless up in the
We can't take no more.